Hello, everyone. Good morning. Have you ever walked into a room and felt off for no clear reason? Or talked to someone and suddenly felt drained, irritated, or heavy afterward? Or maybe you wake up tired even after a full night's sleep? Most people think of their environment as the place they live in, the room they sleep in, or the city they wake up in every day. But the most important environment you live in is invisible. It's the emotional and mental space you carry with you wherever you go. This is what we often call your aura. Whether or not you believe in energy, in a spiritual sense, you cannot deny this truth. The way you feel inside affects everything you experience outside. Your aura is your inner environment. It is shaped by your thoughts, your emotions, your past experiences, and the meaning you assign to what happens to you. You don't leave it at home when you go to work. You don't turn it off when you enter a room. People feel it before you speak. You feel it before you react. And when it's cluttered, heavy, or neglected, life starts to feel harder than it needs to be. Think about what happens when a physical space isn't cleaned for a long time. Dust builds up, the air feels stale, you feel uncomfortable without always knowing why. The same thing happens inside you. Unprocessed emotions, negative self-talk, resentment, fear, and stress quietly accumulate. At first, you barely notice, but over time, that inner clutter shows up as irritability, low energy, self-doubt, and emotional exhaustion. The problem is not that life gives you challenges. The problem is that most people never clear the emotional residue those challenges leave behind. They move from one stressful moment to the next without ever resetting their inner space. They normalize feeling overwhelmed, drained, or disconnected. They assume this is just how adulthood feels. But it doesn't have to be. When your inner environment is clean, your reactions change. You respond instead of explode. You listen instead of defend. You move with clarity instead of confusion. The same situation that once triggered anxiety now feels manageable, not because the world changed, but because your internal space did. Cleaning your aura is not about becoming positive all the time or pretending life is perfect. It's about awareness. It's about noticing when your inner environment feels heavy and taking responsibility for clearing it. Just like you wouldn't invite guests into a dirty home, you shouldn't force yourself to live in an emotional space filled with unresolved tension and self-criticism. This also explains why some people can walk into chaos and remain calm, while others feel overwhelmed by the smallest inconvenience. The difference is not strength or luck, it's maintenance. One person regularly cleans their inner space, the other carries everything they've ever felt without questioning it. Your inner environment influences how you see yourself. When it's cluttered, you doubt your worth. You overthink your choices. You settle for less than you deserve because clarity feels out of reach. But when it's clean, self-respect becomes natural. Confidence isn't forced. Peace doesn't feel rare. And here's the empowering part. You are in control of this environment. You may not control what happens to you, but you absolutely control what stays inside you. You decide which thoughts get repeated. You decide whether emotions are processed or suppressed. You decide when it's time to clear the space and start fresh. The moment you begin treating your inner world with the same care you give your outer life, everything starts to shift. Your energy becomes lighter. Your presence becomes calmer. Your decisions become clearer. Cleaning your aura isn't a mystical act. It's a daily commitment to living in an inner environment that supports you instead of draining you. Expand 200 to 600 words. Every single thought you think carries weight. It may not feel physical, but it leaves an imprint on your mind, your emotions, and your behavior. Most people underestimate how powerful their thoughts are because they happen so quickly and so automatically. You don't sit down and decide to be critical of yourself. You don't schedule time to overthink. It just happens. And over time, those repeated thoughts quietly shape the quality of your inner world. Your mind is always talking. The question is not whether you have thoughts, but whether you are aware of which ones you allow to stay. When negative thoughts repeat unchecked, they don't just pass through, they settle in. They become background noise that colors how you see yourself and how you interpret everything around you. This is how your inner environment becomes polluted without you realizing it. One negative thought on its own is not the problem. The problem is repetition, A thought like, I'm not good enough, becomes dangerous only when it turns into a habit. When you repeat it, your nervous system starts treating it as truth. Your body responds with tension, your confidence shrinks, your energy drops, and suddenly your aura feels heavy even though nothing externally has changed. What makes thoughts so powerful is that you often believe them simply because they sound familiar. Familiar does not mean true, it just means practiced. Most people confuse these two. They assume that because a thought shows up quickly and confidently, it must be accurate. In reality, it's just well-trained. And like any habit, it can be untrained. Cleaning your aura begins with interrupting the mental loops that drain you. This does not mean forcing positive thinking or pretending everything is fine. That approach usually backfires. Your mind knows when you're lying to it. Instead, the goal is to shift from harmful thoughts to neutral, grounding ones. For example, instead of saying, I always mess things up, you can say, I'm still learning. Instead of, this is going to be a disaster, try, I'll handle this one step at a time. Neutral thoughts don't spike your emotions. They calm your nervous system. They create space. And space is what allows your energy to reset. Awareness is the first step. You cannot change a thought you don't notice. Start paying attention to the tone of your inner dialogue. Is it harsh or supportive? Is it rushed or patient? Would you speak to someone you love the way you speak to yourself? If the answer is no, that's a sign your aura is carrying unnecessary mental weight. Another important truth is this: your mind is designed to focus on threats. That's not a flaw. It's survival, but in modern life, this means your brain often treats embarrassment, rejection, or uncertainty as danger. When you don't question these automatic reactions, your thoughts stay in a constant state of alert. Over time, that mental tension becomes emotional exhaustion. Cleaning your aura through your thoughts means teaching your mind that not everything is an emergency. You do this by slowing down your reactions, by breathing before responding, by choosing curiosity over judgment. Each time you do this, you signal safety to your nervous system. And when your nervous system feels safe, your energy naturally becomes clearer and lighter. Thoughts also influence what you attract into your life. When your inner dialogue is filled with doubt and self-criticism, you unconsciously make smaller choices. You hesitate, you pull back, you settle. When your thoughts are grounded and intentional, you move differently. You speak with clarity, you act with confidence. People feel that shift. You don't need to control every thought to clean your aura. You just need to stop letting the same damaging ones run your inner world. Each time you choose a thought that supports your growth, instead of sabotaging it, you remove a layer of mental pollution. Over time, your inner environment becomes calmer, clearer, and far more powerful. Expand 300 to 600 words. Most people don't realize how much emotional weight they are carrying because they've been carrying it for so long that it feels normal. Disappointment, anger, guilt, grief, shame. These emotions don't disappear just because time passes. When they aren't acknowledged or expressed, they don't fade away. They settle into the body and the mind, quietly shaping your mood, your reactions, and your sense of self. This is how your energy becomes blocked without you ever noticing when it happened. From an early age, many of us learn that certain emotions are inconvenient or unacceptable. We're taught to stay strong, to move on quickly, to not make a fuss, so we suppress. We smile when we're hurt. We stay silent when we're angry. We distract ourselves instead of processing what we feel. Over time, this habit creates emotional residue, feelings that were never given permission to move through us. Emotions are meant to be experienced, not stored. When you allow yourself to fully feel an emotion, it rises, peaks, and naturally passes. But when you resist it, judge it, or push it away, it lingers. That lingering energy shows up in subtle ways: constant tension in the body, sudden irritability, emotional numbness, or an overwhelming sense of heaviness that you can't explain. Many people mistake emotional release for losing control. They fear that if they open the door to their feelings, they'll be consumed by them. But the opposite is true. What you allow, you can move through. What you suppress, you carry. Suppressed emotions demand energy to hold down, and that energy comes at the cost of your clarity, focus, and peace. Cleaning your aura means giving your emotions permission to exist without labeling them as good or bad. Anger doesn't make you a bad person. Sadness doesn't make you weak. Fear doesn't mean you're failing. These emotions are signals, not flaws. They're information telling you that something inside needs attention. One of the simplest ways to release emotional residue is through awareness, and expression. This doesn't require a dramatic confrontation or a public breakdown. It can be as private as writing in a journal without editing yourself, letting the words spill out honestly. It can be allowing yourself to cry without rushing to stop it. It can be sitting quietly and noticing where you feel tension in your body and breathing into it. Your breath plays a powerful role in emotional release. Shallow breathing keeps emotions trapped in the chest and shoulders. Slow, deep breathing signals safety and allows stored tension to soften. When you exhale longer than you inhale, you tell your nervous system that it's okay to let go. This physical shift creates emotional movement. Another important part of release is naming what you feel. When you name an emotion, you reduce its intensity. Instead of saying, "I'm fine," try saying, "I feel disappointed," or "I feel overwhelmed." Naming creates distance between you and the emotion. You are no longer the feeling, you are the one experiencing it. That distinction is powerful. Emotional residue also clears when you stop judging yourself for having feelings. Many people carry shame about their emotional responses, especially if they believe they should be over it by now. Healing doesn't follow a schedule. The moment you stop criticizing yourself for feeling, your energy begins to shift. As emotional blocks release, you may notice unexpected changes. Your body feels lighter. Your reactions soften. You respond with more patience. This is not because life became easier, but because you stopped carrying the past into the present. Your aura clears when emotions are allowed to complete their cycle. Releasing emotional residue is not a one-time event. It's a practice. Each time you choose to feel instead of suppress, you clear space inside yourself. And in that space, calm, clarity, and emotional freedom naturally return. Expand 400 to 600 words. One of the fastest ways your energy becomes drained is through a lack of boundaries. Many people don't realize this because they confuse boundaries with conflict, rejection, or selfishness. So instead of protecting their inner space, they overextend, overexplain, and overgive. On the surface, this can look like kindness or loyalty, but underneath it slowly erodes peace, self-respect, and emotional balance. A boundary is simply a limit that protects what matters to you. It's not a wall meant to shut people out. It's a filter that determines what you allow in and what you keep out. When you don't have boundaries, you leave your inner environment exposed. Every comment, every demand, every emotional reaction from others enters freely, and your energy absorbs the impact. This is why some interactions leave you feeling exhausted even when nothing dramatic happened. You listened to someone complain without pause. You tolerated disrespect to avoid discomfort. You said yes when your body was clearly asking for rest. Each time you override your own needs to please someone else, you leak energy. Over time, that leakage becomes emotional burnout. Many people struggle with boundaries because they fear being misunderstood or disliked. They worry that saying no will make them seem rude or uncaring. But the truth is, constantly saying yes when you mean no creates resentment. And resentment is one of the heaviest emotions you can carry. It poisons your inner space and silently damages relationships anyway. Cleaning your aura means becoming honest about where your limits are and honoring them without guilt. This starts with self-awareness. Pay attention to what drains you. Notice which conversations leave you tense, which obligations feel heavy, and which people consistently cross your emotional lines. Your body often recognizes boundary violations before your mind does. Setting a boundary does not require aggression or long explanations. It can be calm, simple, and respectful. "I can't do that right now. I need some space. That doesn't work for me." These statements protect your energy without attacking anyone else. The discomfort you feel when setting a boundary is temporary. The peace you gain afterward is lasting. Another important truth is that not everyone will like your boundaries, and that's okay. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries may resist when you begin to protect yourself. This resistance is not a sign that your boundary is wrong. It's a sign that it's working. Your responsibility is not to manage others' reactions. Your responsibility is to manage your inner world. Boundaries also apply to emotional access. You don't have to engage with every opinion, argument, or emotional demand. Just because someone is upset does not mean you are responsible for fixing it. Just because someone wants your attention does not mean you owe it. Choosing when and how you engage is a powerful form of energy protection. Cleaning your aura through boundaries also means setting limits with yourself. Overworking, negative self-talk, and constant self-criticism are internal boundary violations. Push yourself beyond exhaustion or speak to yourself harshly, you create the same energetic damage as an external boundary breach. Self-respect applies inward as much as it does outward. As you strengthen your boundaries, you may notice a shift in how you show up. You become calmer, your words carry more weight, you stop reacting impulsively and start responding intentionally. This happens because your energy is no longer scattered. It's contained, focused, and protected. Boundaries don't shrink your world, they refine it. They create space for healthier relationships, clearer thinking, and deeper peace. When you stop allowing everything to access you, your inner environment becomes cleaner and stronger. And in that protected space, your aura naturally restores its balance and power. Expand 500 to 600 words. Many people try to change their mindset or emotions without paying attention to their body, and this is where they get stuck. The body is not separate from your energy. It is the physical container that holds your emotional and mental state. When the body is neglected, tense, or exhausted, your inner world reflects that imbalance. No amount of positive thinking can override a nervous system that feels overwhelmed or unsafe. Your body is constantly communicating with your brain. Posture, movement, breathing, sleep, and nutrition all send signals that shape how you feel internally. When you spend long hours sitting, slouching, and staring at screens, your body interprets this as stress. Muscles tighten, breathing becomes shallow, and energy stagnates. Over time, this physical tension becomes emotional heaviness. Movement is one of the simplest and most effective ways to clean your aura. You don't need intense workouts or complicated routines. Gentle, consistent movement is enough to shift your internal state. Walking allows your nervous system to regulate itself. Stretching releases stored tension from muscles that have been holding stress for days or even years. Even dancing for a few minutes can disrupt stagnant energy and restore a sense of flow. Breathing is another powerful gateway between the body and your inner environment. Most people breathe shallowly without realizing it, especially when stressed. Shallow breathing keeps the body in a low-level fight-or-flight state. When you slow your breath and deepen it, you send a signal of safety to your nervous system. A longer exhale tells your body that it's okay to relax. This shift alone can dramatically lighten your energy. Posture also plays a role in how you feel. When you collapse your chest and round your shoulders, your body mimics defeat and fatigue. When you stand or sit upright, you create space in your lungs and send a message of confidence and presence. This is not about pretending to be confident. It's about allowing your body to support a calmer, clearer inner state. Sleep is often overlooked, but it is one of the most important forms of energetic maintenance. When you are sleep-deprived, your emotional regulation weakens. Small problems feel overwhelming. Negative thoughts become louder. Your aura feels heavier because your body hasn't had the chance to reset. Rest is not a luxury. It is essential maintenance for your inner environment. Hydration and nourishment also influence your energy more than most people realize. Dehydration can increase fatigue, irritability, and mental fog. Eating in a way that supports steady energy rather than spikes and crashes helps your body maintain balance. When your physical system is supported, your emotional and mental systems follow. Spending time in natural light and fresh air further supports your inner balance. Sunlight regulates your circadian rhythm and improves mood. Fresh air encourages deeper breathing. Even a few minutes outside can create a noticeable shift in how you feel. Your body evolved in connection with nature, and your energy responds when that connection is restored. Caring for your body is not about control or perfection. it's about respect. When you treat your body with care, you communicate safety and worth to your nervous system. That sense of safety allows stored tension to release and emotional clarity to return. Cleaning your aura through your body is a daily practice of listening and responding. When you move, breathe, rest, and nourish yourself intentionally, your inner environment becomes lighter and more stable. The body doesn't just carry your energy, it helps shape it. When the body is supported, your aura naturally becomes clearer, calmer, and stronger. Expand 600 words. Most people underestimate how deeply what they consume shapes their inner world. They think of consumption as food or money, but in reality, you are constantly consuming information, conversations, images, sounds, and emotions. Every piece of content you take in leaves an impression. Over time, those impressions become the background atmosphere of your mind and your energy. From the moment you wake up, inputs begin flooding your system. Notifications, headlines, messages, videos, opinions, comparisons, all competing for your attention. Your nervous system was never designed to handle this much stimulation. When you don't consciously choose what you consume, your inner environment becomes cluttered by default. This is how your aura becomes noisy, restless, and heavy without you realizing why. What you consume emotionally is just as important as what you consume mentally. If you are constantly surrounded by negativity, complaining, or conflict, your energy absorbs that tone. Even if you don't participate, being exposed to it repeatedly conditions your nervous system to stay on edge. This can show up as irritability, anxiety, or a constant sense of unease that doesn't seem connected to your personal life. Media consumption plays a huge role in shaping your inner state. Endless scrolling, dramatic news cycles, and comparison-driven content keep your mind in a heightened state of alert. Your brain begins to interpret the world as overwhelming or unsafe. When this becomes your daily diet, no amount of rest feels enough, because your system never truly powers down. Cleaning your aura means becoming intentional about your inputs. This doesn't mean avoiding reality or living in denial. It means recognizing that you don't need to consume everything to stay informed or connected. You are allowed to take breaks. You are allowed to choose quality over quantity. Start by noticing how different types of content make you feel. Some things energize you, inspire you, or help you grow. Others leave you feeling drained, tense, or inadequate. This awareness is key. Your emotional response is data. Use it to guide your choices. Music is one of the fastest ways to influence your energy. Sound bypasses logic and speaks directly to your nervous system. Certain music calms you, grounds you, or lifts your mood. Other sounds keep your mind restless or agitated. Choosing what you listen to throughout the day can dramatically shift your inner atmosphere. Silence is another powerful but underrated input. Many people are uncomfortable with silence because it forces them to be present. But silence allows your nervous system to reset. It gives your thoughts space to settle. Even a few minutes without stimulation can clear mental noise and restore balance. Conversations also shape your energy. Pay attention to how you feel after talking to certain people. Some conversations leave you feeling understood and lighter. Others leave you tense or depleted. This doesn't mean you need to cut people out immediately, but it does mean you can limit exposure and choose when to engage. Protecting your energy includes choosing which conversations deserve your attention. Your inner world reflects what you repeatedly allow in. When you fill your mind with comparison, outrage, and noise, your aura mirrors that chaos. When you choose inputs that are grounding, meaningful, and aligned with who you want to become, your energy begins to stabilize. Cleaning your aura through intentional consumption is a daily practice. It's about asking yourself, is this nourishing or draining me, and acting accordingly. Over time, these small choices create a powerful shift. Your mind becomes clearer, your emotions become steadier, and your inner environment becomes a place of calm rather than overload.